What is going on, guys, and welcome back to Touchdowns to Home Runs. My name is Bernie. Thank you for joining us today on the Touchdowns to Home Runs show. Hope that your day is going absolutely fantastic. We finally have the championship matchup for Wimbledon 2021 set and ready to go, and it's pretty much the matchup that majority of people would have predicted pre-tournament between Novak Djokovic and Matteo Berrettini. I'm super excited for this one. I think it's going to be a phenomenal matchup. So today we'll be breaking down this matchup, breaking down each one of these two players and their keys to victory, and then make sure to stick around towards the end of the video where I'll be giving my predictions on the outcome of the match. But before we get into previewing these two players, let's take a look at the road to the championship match. For Djokovic, it was Draper in the first round. Did drop the first set of that match, but keep in mind, didn't play a singles warm-up on the grass surface prior to Wimbledon, so potentially a little bit of rust at the beginning of that match. But second set to fourth set of that match looked really solid, and for the rest of the tournament has looked like he's been on cruise control. Second round, it was against Kevin Anderson, who historically has had some success at Wimbledon, although he's on the older side now. It was Kudla in the third round, 17 Garin in the fourth, Fucsovics in the quarterfinals, and then just moments ago finished off the young Canadian Denis Shapovalov, seeded number 10, who's had a great week and a half in the semifinals. On the flip side, for Matteo Berrettini, kicked it off in the first round against Pella. In the second round, it was against Van de Zandschulp. Third round against Bedene, fourth round against Ivashka, really quality win against number 16 Felix Auger-Aliassime in the quarters, who not only has looked very nice on the grass surface, came off a win against Zverev, but that match as a whole was very intense. And then earlier on today in the semifinals, took down 14 Hurkacz in 4 sets. In terms of the history of this head-to-head matchup, Djokovic leads the head-to-head 2-0 and is putting together a great year. 3 losses year to date, also 3 titles to his name, including the first 2 Grand Slams of the year, looking to make that a third with a potential victory against Berrettini. As for Berrettini, putting together a solid year himself, especially on the grass surface, seems to be really hitting a stride in the past month or so after Roland Garros, 2 titles to his name this year as well. Now, these two have played twice before, but never on grass, but they did play not too long ago, about a month ago, in the quarterfinals of Roland Garros earlier on this year. Actually, a decently quality match. Novak ended up winning 6-3, 6-2, 6-7, 7-5, but it was a match that Berrettini was sort of gaining momentum in and working his way back into. The biggest surprise there, I think, was the success that Djokovic, especially early on, had on the Berrettini serve. Now, you can't really ever say that you're surprised in Djokovic's return game, but again, Matteo has essentially one of the better serves, if not the best serves on tour. And Djokovic was able to win 56 total points receiving, which was super impressive. On the counter of that, though, Berrettini only winning 45% of points behind his second serve, a number that he 1000% is going to have to raise if he has any shot of pulling off this upset in the championship match. Let's take a look specifically at Berrettini. With his last win, booked himself his first ever spot in a Grand Slam finals. Of course, now his first ever shot to win his first Grand Slam. Played some phenomenal tennis earlier on today, as I said before, 6-3, 6-love, 7-6 win against Hurkacz, who was a guy coming in serving phenomenally. Hurkacz coming into the match, I think, had something like 47% of his first serves were unreturned in the beginning part of the tournament, which is insane, and basically was the most effective net player in the early part of the tournament. But Matteo has done such a great job dominating on his serve the entire tournament, really doing what he does best, leads the tournament in aces, winning north of 80% of points on his first serve and doing damage with that second serve as well. And I talked about, how big of a hitter Berrettini is, but really showing off that big forehand that he has in that match and the backhand that he not only hits hard but keeps very low, and it's super tricky for opposition to deal with. And we saw sort of Shapovalov in that match against Djokovic be able to sort of overpower him in some rallies. So you know that Berrettini is going to be looking to do the exact same thing, use that big forehand, that big backhand, and that big serve as the weapons to sort of test out Djokovic, especially from the baseline. In terms of Berrettini's key to victory, keep that first serve percentage up and limit what you give Novak. For as solid as Berrettini has been on his first serve, he has had some troubles in terms of low percentages on that first serve, in terms of actually getting it in, where he's been only mid-50s in a couple of matches. overall, we know the quality of Djokovic's return game, but you got to believe that Matteo can't be helping that side of Djokovic's game at all. Don't give him any free points. Limit those unforced errors, which we saw a few of from Berrettini today, and make Djokovic beat your first serve, not your second serve, which is much more of a challenge. In terms of Novak Djokovic, the story around him is going to be the history that he could potentially have with this match. Now he's within one match of winning his 3rd Grand Slam of the year, record-tying 20th Grand Slam, which would tie both Federer and Nadal. And then furthering a shot at winning that calendar slam and a golden slam as well, if you're taking a look at the Olympics, which is in only a couple of weeks now too. But Djokovic is playing some quality tennis. He has been on essentially cruise control for most of this tournament, but he looked very solid in terms of points won behind his first serve, looked decent in rallies, especially today against Shapovalov, where I think he was tested a little bit more. And overall, just, winning the big points when it really matters. Shapovalov really throughout the whole match had some looks at break points on Djokovic's serve, but you know what? When Djokovic is really tested, he comes through, and he pretty much saved every test that Shapovalov sent his way. In terms of the key to victory, the first one that I got is you got to counter Berrettini early. I think that Djokovic really wants to do what he did in the first 2 sets in his match at the Roland Garros a month ago against Matteo, and just find ways to frustrate him. This is Matteo Berrettini's first Grand Slam finals, and you got to think that he's going to be a bit nervous, especially at that beginning part of the match. And, if you can find ways to extend rallies, attacking his second serve, maybe, make him work a little bit in his own service games. I think those are definitely some things that can not only frustrate Berrettini, but potentially put some pressure on a guy who's never been there. And then the second thing is just keep dominating on serve. Novak this tournament has had some very solid serving matches. Wasn't phenomenal against Denis Shapovalov, but you look back a couple matches against Guerin, only dropped 13 points on serve throughout the entire match. But you know that Berrettini is a quality server, and it's going to be tough to break him. So you know what? That's going to put some pressure on your own serve as well. So make sure you're getting your first serves in. Make Berrettini beat that first serve. Don't give him too many looks at the second. And I think the better and easier service games that you have, especially early on, are potentially allowing you to sort of look at getting more breakpoint opportunities, on that other part of your game. In terms of my prediction, I think with all things considered, this match is still pointing to Djokovic winning his 3rd Grand Slam of the year. You got to assume that, even with the tougher match against Shapovalov, for the most part, he's fairly rested. And hasn't had a real test or scare this entire 2 weeks. And it really would take a near perfect match, I think, on both the return and serve game in order to test Djokovic and push him, 5 sets or actually beat Djokovic. I will give Berrettini a set, though. I think he's been super quality. Looked really nice against Hurkacz. His return game has surprised me. And I think that with his serve and good enough on the ground game, that he's solid enough to potentially steal a 6-4 or 7-5 set, in my opinion. So I would say probably Djokovic in 4. But if Berrettini somehow pulled off the upset, I definitely think this is the most favorable upset against Djokovic so far in the past 2 weeks. But yeah, I like Djokovic in 4 sets. But if you guys did make it to this point in the video, let me know your thoughts, comments, predictions down in the comment section below. I want to hear a player, either Berrettini or Djokovic, down in the comments and tell me in how many sets. If you guys did enjoy today's video, make sure to smash that thumbs up button. Subscribe to Touchdowns to Home Runs for more content just like this. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again next time.